So hey guys, bit windy and cold today. Got my hat, my jacket and everything else on. And I am finding myself here at, let's see if I can get it on the camera. I'm out here at St. Andrews out in Glenwood. And I'm here actually because we just welcomed the bishop back and 9 other people too, after they did a really long walk all the way from the Goose and Gander to here. So that's 25 kilometers. And we're very grateful for it because he did so to offer prayers and to have a little contemplative walk. There's your $5 word for today. Contemplative means you're thinking a bunch. So anyway, they were doing all of that, and it was a very prayerful walk. It was an opportunity to give thanks for the blessings in their lives and to pray for other people as they walked for a long distance. So that was really nice. So we all gathered here to celebrate the fact that they did it, to welcome them here when they got here, and then, set up for church, because that's what you got to do, right? So I'm here just trying to get in. So as you do with most things, there's a door you have to get in through, and there's a key you got to use and all that. But I wanted to talk to you guys about something. Tomorrow, we are going to be talking about, in our readings in the Gospel, Jesus is going to be talking to everybody about taking all of the commandments, of which 10. I believe you remember my last video where I talked about the 10 commandments. Well, there's a few more too. After the 10, a lot of folks at the time of Moses, when they brought down the 10, had a few other questions, like, well, what if this person is tall? Do we still have to forgive them for lying? Or what if they're short? Or what if they eat lobster? Or what if this? Or what if that? I'm being silly, but no, there were a lot of questions about being specific. So what they did is they added 613 extra little rules. The 10 commandments were still the ones God gave, but there were 600 more. And these were just little things that had to do with little details about day-to-day life. And later on, Jesus comes on the scene. Later on, there's generations later, but in the gospel reading we have, people had been following all of those day-to-day rules, those 600 some odd rules, all of their lives where they were faithful. And they said, so Jesus, what are the most important ones? And he narrowed it down to 2. 2! He took the 10, he took the 613, he took all of them and shrank it down to 2. Love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And specifically talking about neighbors, he means other people. Because your neighbor, your neighborhood, you're talking about somebody who lives next door to your house. But does that mean your mom and dad aren't your neighbor? They live in your house. Or what about folks at school? Like, you know them really well, but does that mean they're your neighbor or not? He's talking about people in general. Whoever it is that is in this world. Because don't forget, we're on this planet together, a single planet right now. And Earth, all of us are on it. So really, if you're on Earth, you are a neighbor. And heck, even the people up at the space station in orbit are technically a neighbor because they are literally next door. But anyway, narrowing it down to 2 sounds like a big deal, and it is. Taking a whole bunch of rules and narrowing it down to 2, that doesn't sound like a lot of rules to follow, but think about it this way. There is a door, right? A door, commonly, has 2 of these. These things here, they're called hinges, right? And every door has at least 2. Nowadays, sometimes 3. Like this door has 3, actually. But a door needs a fundamental number of hinges to open, to work. You need 2 hinges for a door to work. 2. 1, the door would be hanging off a slew, and it wouldn't be really working properly. It would be crooked, it wouldn't work right, it wouldn't close right, because the door would be always hanging off of itself. But 2 is exactly what you need to basically ground it, to firm it up, to keep it secure, and to make it work. And then when you open a door, like this, it works. There you go. And then you close it again. But those 2 points of contact, one here and one down below, are all they need to make sure that door will work properly. And the same thing goes for the commandments. Yeah, they made all those extra ones and those 613 to talk about how you're supposed to eat and how you're supposed to dress and how you're supposed to do this, do that, do the other thing. Those are like rules in your house.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think you have to go into your home and say to mom and dad, oh, by the way, I promise I won't kill anybody. But there might be rules about bedtime. There might be rules about schoolwork time. There might be rules about how long you're on YouTube or playing video games and that sort of thing. Those are all extras, but the fundamental rules is that you be kind to each other and that you look out for each other. At the fundamental level, that's pretty much what every family believes. We love and care for each other. And at a fundamental level, when Jesus brought us around and said that there were only two commandments that mattered the most, two hinges upon which the whole door of the church rests, to love God and to love your neighbor. To do those two things, everything else hangs off of that. Because just think about it.
It was in that moment, even though he didn't realize it, Reverend Moses and his video were going to have a real problem. For you see, the audio for this part of the video went completely sideways. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe it was the passing cars. Maybe his phone had a hiccup. We'll never know. But he decided to take a minute to record over a still frame of himself to give a little voiceover as to what he was going to say. What he was about to say was, if you can look at those two commandments, if you can look at loving God and realize that if you love God, you will love the things that are important to honor God, whether it be honoring the Sabbath, whether it be honoring your earthly parents as much as it is to honor your heavenly Father. These things will come naturally if you love God. You'll even take care of His creation if you really love God. But on top of that, if you love your neighbor, then the rest of the commandments also take care of themselves. The commandments such as thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not covet. All of these things come easy if you look at the other person and realize that you love them. Who would want to do something wrong to somebody they love? Who would want to lie or steal or cheat or do something hurtful to them? That's why when Jesus said these two commandments were the hinges upon everything else rested, like a door on the hinges, that they all work together to basically take care of each other. Those two big ones take care of all the rest. In the old Book of Common Prayer, when we talk about these two great commandments, we say, upon them hang all the law and the prophets. And that basically means that every other rule, every other prophet, everything that has ever been said fundamentally comes down to lining up with these two very important commands. So that is why Jesus puts them in our hearts and says they're so important today. And that's what you have to remember too.
So I want you guys to remember that this weekend when you're doing these things, okay? But anyway, I gotta go in and get ready. So I'll talk to you soon.